Hello, everybody. I am with Emily Apocalypse. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Today, we're going to do a blind GeoGuessr. So, Emily, you're not going to see my screen. We're going to try and be as close as possible to the actual location with me describing the image. What I may do different from other times when I did this with Chicago geography challenges as well, is that what I may do is show you the final image after you tell me to put a guess somewhere. I may show you the image. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Maybe with Google Meet. I share my screen, and you can maybe tell me what I missed in terms of maybe a bit better describing the image, right? To you and tell me, oh, you should have said this or notice that detail.
Okay.
Because that way I may learn as well, and the viewers will learn as well. Do you have a map that you are particularly keen to play?
I mean, I think that good, like a community world is always a good default choice.
All right. Let's do a community world. This is your favorite map based on the interview we had. Let's play. Do you want to do no moving, no panning, no zooming? What do we do?
I mean, I'm generally not the best at an MPZ, so no moving is easier, but you can also do an MPZ, whatever you think is
No,
best.
let's do no moving so that we're still allowed to pan and zoom. No time limit. And as I explained, I'm going to describe the image as much as possible. Since I'm not a newbie completely when it comes to GeoGuessr, I will refrain from giving you my biased judgment. For instance, I will just describe what there is on the screen. I'll try to avoid saying things in terms of where I think it is, so that we can use your skills only. Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right. So, God. Where are we? It's completely rural. The sun is pointing towards roughly the north on my compass. The sun is roughly in the north. It's very flat around where I am, and I think what looks like banana trees and fields of something, but I can't tell what kind of greenery it is. In the background, I see small mountains or hills, very green. It's quite low. I think I see a bike, and the cyclist on the right-hand side of the road. There are no road lines. There is asphalt on the road surface, but there are no road lines. There's no paint whatsoever. And we're at an intersection, 90-degree intersection, and the intersecting road looks like white sand. The soil otherwise... It's tough to say where the vegetation is. It's very low vegetation. It looks like fields, right? Like it's growing something. It's agriculture, and I can see for kilometers, and I think I can see greenhouses in the distance, but I can't see the color of the soil too much. But there's like grass, right? It's green. It's just like a few banana trees, or I think it's banana trees, or like small. It's not palm trees. It's very low. It's at the same level as the Street View camera, basically. But it's clearly like tropical kind of trees. It reminds me of banana trees. And I just come back from Tanzania, so that's why I feel very familiar with that. But obviously Tanzania is not on Street View, so I'm not trying to influence you that this is Africa. And that's about it, honestly. Any questions you may have?
I mean, is there some sort of a Google car visible?
Good question. There is no Google car except a small stubby antenna.
Okay, that's good. At least that should confirm Latin America. And you said the sun was to the north.
Yes, it's like to the northwest.
Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking. No, you go.
And I think it's Generation 4 camera, right? I think this is Gen 3 or Gen 4.
I mean,
I think it's Gen 3.
With stubby antenna, it's probably going to be Gen 3.
Okay, I think it's Gen 3 because Gen 4 has a bigger sun, right? And this sun is quite a well. You can see the outline of the sun fairly well. So I think it's Generation 3, right?
Like Gen 4 is like very bright and saturated a lot of the time.
Yeah. All right. So you're thinking Latin America?
Yeah, I'm thinking Latin America. I'm thinking probably going to be somewhere in Brazil, because with the antenna, it's it could be Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, but since we have sun to the north, we should be in the southern hemisphere / close to the equator. And you also said it was quite flat.
It's
Which,
completely flat where
yeah.
we are for about, I would say, around us, I would say it's about 10 kilometers in each direction is flat, and the horizon is full of low-lying mountains, but they're all green and they're not like hard edge mountains. So they look like hills in a way.
Yeah,
Like it's like low mountains or high hills, completely green, covered in forests everywhere. And the horizon all around us.
like the and again, like the fact that it's more hills rather than bigger mountains also points more towards Brazil, whereas in
Okay.
Colombia and Ecuador you would probably have usually bigger mountains. It's not always the case. You also said it was quite green, which
Yes, it's very green. Yeah, it's very
obviously
green.
can happen in all of these countries. In Brazil, less so, but in Ecuador, for example, most of the more flat areas are a little bit drier.
Uh-huh.
And in Colombia as well. It's not always the case. There are some valleys around, like south of Medellin, for example, that have
Yes.
that are rather
I
green.
see what you mean. Yes.
But I'm
Confirm also what I said earlier, which may help you here, is the intersecting road has no asphalt and has this whitish, very bright white or light yellow color. And actually, now that I pay more attention on the side of the road and also on the road itself, you have a bit of that same color. Right, so on the road, it feels like you have some leftover sand. Not much. It's mostly asphalt. But on the side of it, you see these small pebbles or slash sand all along, like a very narrow band of about 10 centimeters or 5 centimeters of the same color of the intersecting trail or road with that very white sand or white dust or whatever it is.
Yeah. Like that, to me, the white sand is usually something you would expect from a coastal area somewhat. Like, obviously what Brazil is notorious for is its quite red dirt that is also often spills onto the road. But, you said that since this spills onto, again, like, it is somewhat of a fake meta because you can have it in every country.
Although, so red soil, if I'm not mistaken, it's more around the state of Mato Grosso, right? And Mato Grosso
Yeah,
do
it says
Sul.
like Mato Grosso do Sul, Goiás, or like the reddest soil areas. But yeah, like to me, white sand in general just indicates coastal areas. Like, for example, if you said that the sun was to the south, I would be thinking, for example, Yucatan or Quintana Roo, because those are areas in Mexico that are notorious for white sands. But with sun more towards the north, and you said it was quite agricultural as well. I'm thinking it could be something along the lines of like Rio Grande do Sul or Paraná, although coastal Paraná is quite mountainous, so it would be slightly more inland.
All right, so you want me to go to the state of Paraná?
Yeah, like something along the lines of like Londrina in Paraná.
Okay. I see Londrina, yes. So I don't know if it helps in any way. Obviously, you're not seeing anything, but the road is completely straight, going northeast to the southwest, completely straight.
Yeah, so that's... I mean, it helps to some extent because I think in general South Brazil, and again, this is slightly fake, has fewer straight roads, but there's also some very straight roads in like Rio Grande do Sul, for example. If I'm just scanning the map, there are quite a lot of very straight roads.
Should I go more Mato Grosso do Sul in that case?
No. Mato Grosso do Sul, I think sand color doesn't really check out. Like, if anything, I would go more south towards like Rio Grande do Sul.
Where is that?
That's like the most southernmost state of Brazil.
Okay. So next, okay, I see. So where do I go there? Next to Santa Maria? Middle of the state?
I think, again, with white sand, I would probably go coastal, like on the road 101.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. And it's actually going that direction, northeast to southwest.
Yeah.
But then we're close to the coast, and I'm telling you, we have mountains all around.
All around, you say?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, apart from looking at the southern area, but it's almost all around. Like, there's only a very small fraction I don't see beyond because there are trees. But all around, it's mountainous. I mean, it's hills. Sorry.
Okay, but then that makes me think it could be more Colombia, because, again, like, like to me from Brazil, I would expect this soil mostly from either coastal areas or like from drier northeastern areas.
I think I like your Brazilian guess because it's very, very flat for at least 10 kilometers all around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't want to influence you. What, Brazil or Colombia?
I mean, it's very hard because like I'm getting some conflicting information, but it could be like And you said it's very green.
Yeah, it's quite. I mean, it's
it's
not
like
lush green, but it's. I mean, you can see the agriculture. It's all green stuff. It's not like there's nothing burnt or anything. I mean, there's a bit burnt, a bit brownish in the middle, but not that. It's not agriculture. It's maybe it's just the separation between like farms or something.
And it's not arid. It's
not arid, definitely not. But it's not as lush as what you would find next to the equator usually. Like not like lushy green, and at least not in from I remember. You know, I would describe more the temperate climate which you find at the at the tropics, not at the equator.
Yeah, in that case, I'm thinking that, you know, with the mountains all around, but you say it's not like directly coastal with how it is. I'm back a little bit more north in like west of Sao Paulo or something.
West of Sao Paulo. All right, let's do this. Let me go west of Sao Paulo. Let me validate the guess. Ready?
Yes.
All right, guessing. And it was Mexico. Believe it or not, next to the border with Guatemala.
That makes sense apart from, like, yeah, I guess the sun can lie at times.
Yeah, I got tricked a few times. Let me share the image with you. Tell me how I could have improved my description. Are you surprised with what you're seeing? Like, what is the little difference with what I said and what you think would have made you guess Mexico?
I mean, I think in general, there isn't a lot that I would have said super differently. Like, for me, for example, this kind of road surface I would see a little bit less in Brazil. This is something I see more often in Mexico and kind of in Ecuador too. But it's really hard to describe what about it.
I understand. No, it looks a little bit, it reminds me, it's not the same, but it reminds me a little bit of the roads in Texas. Not exactly the same, but this little grain on the road. So I know what you mean here in terms of the specifics of the road surface. Yeah, okay, that is useful. That is useful, thank you. Because I can think of describing it more accurately in the future. Anything else that you notice that surprises you in this image?
Not really. There's one more thing that is... like, it's kind of sort of fake meta, but in Chiapas and Oaxaca, like, if you look at the image, then like not in the sky, like not in like Albania or Montenegro, but you see this like something that looks kind of like a mini rift.
Okay, where do you see this one?
Like I guess towards the north-ish, like there's some bit of a discoloration that like it's not a proper rift.
Okay, got it.
By all accounts. And that's something you see a fair bit in Oaxaca and Chiapas.
Got it.
But yeah. Other than that, it's not really the description, it's just that for me personally I need to check if that sign is actually a real sign or not, but to the south, there's a sign that if it's a real sign, then its sign back color not being black would give it away. But no, it's just a construction sign, so it doesn't really count. Yeah, because it's just a construction sign, so it doesn't really change anything there.
Yes, got it. Listen, you know, it's ironic that we have Mexico, which is one of the favorite countries you mentioned, or the one that makes you the most curious, but... yeah,
especially Chiapas as well.
And Chiapas in particular. This is funny. All right, listen, we have 4 more rounds. Let's see what we can do for the next few rounds. All right, let me describe the next one. We have... we're again in a rural area, but we do have some buildings. The Street View car has a white outline. I think it's the back of the car. The road lines are white. The vegetation looks a little bit similar to the previous image. The sun is towards the northeast. So it's east northeast. We have mountains, quite dry mountains. We have a sign on the side of the road which says Paso Peatonal a 100 meters. So it seems to be Spanish, I suppose, not Portuguese. I don't know. We have, I don't see any. Yeah, so we're driving on the right hand side. I do see street signs on the other side of the road, and the back of it is not black. It's like metallic. What do kind of tell you? We have utility poles which have a T shape, and they're wooden. They have a simple T shape. Hang on, T shape, but is this the one from this South American country? I'm not certain. There's a bin that is this metallic bin, which is, looks like a cage, like a chicken cage, which is suspended, suspended from the bottom, from a metallic stand. The mountains in the nearby are a bit arid, so you can see the yellow bushes or yellow grass, like burnt grass, and then you see like some bushes here and there. Yeah. So it's not completely green.
But there's still like some vegetation.
Yeah, there's some vegetation. It's not completely dry. It's mostly green, but you can see that it's hot and dry.
Yeah.
Any questions you may have? Or any thoughts?
So when you said white lines, do you also mean the middle lines?
Middle line is dotted, like it's not continuous line, and the side lines are also white and continuous.
Yeah, so it's all white.
Yes.
Which would likely point me towards Chile, because with the white car, and especially the Spanish language white car combination gives us 3 options in Peru, Bolivia, and Chile, and Peru and Bolivia both use yellow middle lines. There are obviously always some exceptions, because sometimes countries use weird lines for construction purposes or whatnot.
We have mountains on the south, the north, and the west. So the east seems a little bit more flat, but it's again mostly mountainous all around. Go ahead, you were about to ask a question. The road we're on is completely flat, by the way, and straight, going almost north to the south.
Okay, so
for something like maybe easily, I would say 2 kilometers, completely straight.
Okay, again, so from a rather mountainous country like Chile, this is, quite a bit rare that, you have a specific valley that has like a straight road. And especially like, you said that there's some vegetation which kind of rules out like much of the northern half of the country. Like this is unlikely to be anywhere above La Serena, is my thinking.
Yep, I see this on the map.
Because you said, and because you also said that it's, still quite dry, it's also something I would say quite unlikely to be anywhere south of Los Angeles. So it has to be somewhere between the two.
Agreed.
With the fact that you said that there is, it's mountainous all around, but we have a completely straight road, and mountains are less to the east. It's quite unlikely to be north of Santiago in my mind, because most of what is north of Santiago but still has some vegetation is like very, very mountainous. And with you saying that it's quite dry and that the mountains are more to the west, which is something that's quite rare in Chile, that to me implies that this should be at least, like not super, super close to the Andes at the very least. Okay. So I'm thinking it should also probably, but still mountains all around, which would kind of rule out like, Chillán area, for example, which is in a bit of a bigger valley, which makes me think this is probably going to be close-ish to Santiago, like something along the lines of like Curico or San Fernando, something vaguely in that area.
Yep, I see both. All right, so I'm going to pick a location in that area. Here we go, something that looks a bit straightish, north of Curico, south of San Fernando. Let's see what we have. I would have totally gun in that area, but you're much more specific, and you don't even see the photo. So let's see. Listen, you were 51 kilometers away. It was
nice.
exactly, hang on, it was just a tiny, tiny bit north of San Fernando. Wow, I'm impressed. Let me share the photo with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think your description was very accurate with the dry mountains that still have like bushes on them. Like, with the road lines and language and Google Car and whatnot, Chile is obvious, and then once you have Chile, it is one of the most region guessable countries, because it essentially, what the country does is it gets more green as you go south. So, with you saying that there is some vegetation, you can already rule out so much of the country, and with you saying that it's, quite arid, you can already rule out so much of the country that, like, that alone was a very good description.
Well done to you.
And then after that, it's just a case of trying to think where would the mountains make sense. Yeah, I think also well done to you with a very good description there.
So 4,864 points. Next round. All right, so now we're in a village area with let's see. I think I see a blue strip on the left-hand side of one of the cars. What can I say here? We have a utility pole. It's cylindrical. It's cement. We have we have something on this. I believe something on the pavement. I think it's Cyrillic. I've rarely seen this. I think it says look left and right. It's that pedestrian crossing, but it's almost completely invisible. It's in white painting. I had never noticed before, but it shows arrows left and right, and it's painted on the road just as you're about to cross, and it says something in Cyrillic. I recognize the Cyrillic here with the inverted N. It's driving on the right-hand side. You have the typical, what I would say, European street signs with careful to this pedestrian crossing. The pedestrian crossing is, by the way, signaled by a triangle. So red outline, and there are 5 zebra crossing, and a black guy crossing the zebra crossing. So it's a triangle. It's not blue or anything. This is a red outline triangle, white in the middle, and black person on the zebra crossing. It's a little bit hilly in the back, not very much. Otherwise, we're on a straight road in a village, right? It's the countryside, but it's in a village. Yeah. It looks not very rich. The houses, so they're mostly this dirty beige or pink color. The rooftops, I believe these are bricks or something, but not the one that you'd find in southern Europe, like Spain or Italy. It's not tiles, like old tiles. It's a bit damaged for the most part. What can I say? I don't see much. So driving on the right-hand side, continuous white line, and the zebra crossing, wherever I am at the intersection here, I'm at an intersection, it's almost completely disappearing. So it's not been repainted for a long, long time. The pavement is not in great condition. There is a bit of pavement, but it's not in good condition. And sometimes you have, the pavement just disappears. In some like grass and weeds and stuff like that. I see some posters on the cylindrical utility pole I'm next to, and again it's Cyrillic. I can't make out what it says. I think there's a sign for a church. I mean, there's nothing relevant except it's in Cyrillic.
Yes.
So it's a utility pole, cylindrical, cement, and how can I describe it? Not much. Like the electric cables seem to be a bit random. There's not tons of them, but I mean, there's like 20 cables running through, and it doesn't seem to be very well organized. It's a bit of a mess. But it's not like the one in Thailand or Indonesia where you have like millions of cables in a bundle.
Yeah.
Any questions you may have?
Can you tell what generation camera it is?
It's 3. You can really see the outline of the sun.
And is there an antenna on the Google car?
Good question. No, I do not see anything on this specific image. Okay. There is nothing visible for the Street View car. One more thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. Yes. I don't know if it's the paint that I see on further utility poles, but it seems there's a white paint on all of these cement utility poles up to 1 meter, some white paint, or it could be posters, like advertising or these small posters. So it's not very clear if it's paint or posters on all these utility poles. I think it is paint, some white paint.
Mm-hmm. And you said that there's a blue EU strip on
I
the
can
car.
see one car parked, and I think there's a blue strip. I'm pretty confident there is. I would say I'm 80% confident there's a blue tint on the left side. Yes.
Yeah, so what I am thinking, right, is that, with Cyrillic, that already narrows down countries quite a lot, but even without the Cyrillic, like not having an antenna, and these concrete cylindrical poles are in general very common in Eastern European countries. Like in the Balkans and in post-Soviet countries, you see them a lot. And then with Cyrillic, we can obviously eliminate like Croatia. Montenegro would also have mostly Latin. It does occasionally have Cyrillic, but we can also kind of eliminate that. And then that would... And with the blue strip, we can, Russia, Ukraine are kind of out of the question. They also usually have antennas. Sometimes they are not visible, but we usually do. And also Bulgaria, I would also usually... it can be various types of coverage. It can have antenna, it can have no antenna, but I would usually expect an antenna from Bulgaria.
Okay.
And I would also usually expect, not always, not even remotely always, but I would usually expect winter coverage from Gen 3 Bulgaria.
In this case, we have a clear blue sky. It feels wintry, but not certain, because the trees mostly do not have leaves. Some of them do, but some of them don't. So I do think it's the end of winter. There's no snow anywhere, though, right? And it's perfectly blue sky.
Yeah, like in Bulgaria, a lot of the coverage, there is some more summery, more spring-looking coverage, but in general, a lot of the Bulgarian coverage looks quite depressing with its, it's like no leaves on any of the trees. Sometimes snow. It just looks very gray and brown in Gen 3 because a lot of the Bulgarian imagery was taken in or around the winter, which would then... And also, again, it also usually tends to have antenna, although for all the antenna countries, there are sometimes weird glitches where the antenna disappears in coverage, and I would not put it past ACW map makers to be like, we are going to put some of these weird glitches there, and which then leads me to believe that we are probably going to be in either Serbia or Macedonia, or I guess North Macedonia as it is now called. And you say that it's probably end of winter, like it's not spring, or like not summer, which is usually, I think, a lot of Macedonia coverage looks more summery or autumny, like either yellow leaves or just summery. Not always, but it's, I think, more common, which would then probably makes me think Serbia. And then can you see any sort of hills or mountains?
No mountains, definitely not mountains, but there are some hills which are not massive. I would say in altitude, there would probably be around 200 meters high in the distance at most. Like 200 or 300 meters altitude above where we are. Yeah, something like that. So it's not super high, and it's very flat on top of the hill as well. Completely flat, in fact. There's no like sharp edges whatsoever.
Yeah, so if this is Serbia, which again, I might just be missing something, or, I might have misremembered something you've described. But if this is Serbia, then, with it being not completely flat, it kind of eliminates anything north of Belgrade. And with it not being, mountainous, it also eliminates a lot of the southern half of the country. So I'm thinking something around, for example, Kragujevac
Yep.
could make sense with this
Okay.
description. Where it's, it's not completely flat, but it's also certainly not mountainous.
All right.
But and this is again like, I think it should by all accounts be Serbia with the blue strip, no antenna,
Yep.
Cyrillic. It could be Macedonia still, but I think in my experience more of Macedonia should have Macedonia doesn't have as much autumn or early spring coverage.
And I think Macedonia would be more
So
mountainous, no? Most imagery, right?
Yes, I mean there's like parts of Macedonia can look more flat, parts of Macedonia can look more mountainous, but yes, much of Macedonia would be more mountainous. So I'm thinking like, somewhat south of Belgrade, but probably not super south of Belgrade. So like again around Kragujevac ish. Like, certainly not niche.
All right, let's see. I'm going to validate the guess. I would have thought, without having any knowledge of the antenna, which I don't remember well, my default would have been Bulgaria, but I really like your reasoning. So let's see. I'm putting the guess. I've put my guess just a bit north of Kragujevac, as you've mentioned.
Yeah, like Bulgaria could also make some sense.
But you had a good reasoning, right, around the community world map and thinking it would be unlikely that would have a glitchy image in this case.
No, I mean, I think it's especially that like a community world. I think a lot of map makers try to go for a slightly trickier location, so it could very well be one of the, more, I guess, quote unquote summer Bulgaria locations, or like, but yeah, a lot of Bulgaria.
But this is not summer, definitely.
Summer Bulgaria, yeah, but like a lot of Bulgaria just looks very wintry, very desolate.
All right.
And a lot of the others are not so.
Let's see what score we're getting. And we are in northern Bulgaria, not far away, 259 kilometers away. So 4,348 points. Let me share the link with you.
In this case, then, this is a Generation 4 camera.
Oh, it's 4? How can I tell? Yeah. Because the sun is bigger.
It's also, I would not use the sun. It's just like, if you compare Gen 4 coverage, which is the most recent one, to anything else, then you can see that the colors feel a lot more oversaturated. In Bulgaria, it's not the best example because, again, old Bulgaria coverage, if you can see, it was taken in like a very wintry time when you obviously wouldn't expect saturated colors. But if you click on a country with like, not very intense winters or just any area where you have coverage from like the same season, you can still see that Generation 4 coverage has a lot more saturation.
Sorry, I confused you because that completely threw you off. And I guess I could see this maybe with the greenery, the green saturation of the grass, right? Maybe this is more saturated towards the south, right? This is maybe more saturated as a color. Sorry for this because I guess I completely threw you off as a result.
Yeah, because like in my head, I'm thinking Gen 3 no antenna usually means in the Balkans, Serbia or Macedonia.
Got it. No worries. In any case, you had, also mentioned Bulgaria as a possibility in case there was a glitch, and I threw you off with wrong information on the generation. And in any case, it's not far away. You suggested with my poor information, central Serbia, so it was very, very close. All right, should we do the next one?
Yes.
All right, driving on the left-hand side, palm trees. I see, this is Sri Lankan on the sign because I see all these rounds and circles. Yep, another sign here. Driving on the left, I see Street View car which has blue, white, and red, like blurry image for the Street View car. It's tough to see if it's hilly or not because we're in the kind of countryside and the trees are very tall. A lot of palm trees and I think banana trees around us. We have a truck which has nothing in it. It's like empty. There's, I think, a tourist bus of some kind, but it's very rural. So it's just like two houses. I don't see any tsunami warning sign of any kind. I was trying to look for these kind of stuff. So it's completely green, and the road is twisting, like it's turning, right? It's a bend in the road on one side and a bend in another. So I can't see for kilometers in this case. I'm very limited in terms of the amount of image I can see here. Questions you may have?
Does the tourist bus have any sort of information with place names? Because Sri Lankan buses usually have place names.
I can't see it very well because it's far away. It just says at the top, I think Suwanda, Kekulu. I think that's it. That's all I can read. Suwanda and Kekulu.
Yeah, I think to me that sounds probably more like a name of a company rather than...
Yeah, very likely. Yeah. I can't see anything else because it's blurred. In the middle of the bus, I think the biggest sign is actually blurred on the side of the bus. So I can't see anything else, and there's nothing. And I don't read Sri Lankan, so I can't tell you what the placards on the side of the street mean. There's really little information.
Yeah, I don't think anyone, at least I don't think even Blinky reads Sri Lankan, and he's like the person who reads, I think, the most scripts.
Okay.
Because he can also read Thai, which is and Bengali, which already like. I think there are not many people who can read both. There are a few who can read one or the other, but I think Blinky is the only one who reads both. I know that Dan, Aussie Golfer, has been learning some scripts, but I don't know if he's gone around to both of them yet. But yeah, it's quite common. But yeah, and you said you can't really tell if it's hilly or not.
No, it's difficult to tell. It doesn't seem to be going up that much in that area, but we could be at the top of a hill. It seems to be going up a little bit, but I can't see anything in the horizon. Nothing. It's a lot of banana trees and palm trees and other types of trees around us.
Yeah, so like, as from the language you already identified Sri Lankan, but the Google car already kind of gives that away with what some people I guess call the French Google car with its blue-white redness. And I really love that name because you just call it French when it's like 8,000 kilometers away from France. Again, Sri Lanka is one of those countries where, like, in the north, it gets very dry, so I'm kind of eliminating the north here. And I think in the middle around Kandy, it's mountainous enough that, like, no matter what, you would be able to tell that, yeah, we are in some sort of mountains. So what I'm thinking is that it's probably, and could be something along the lines of just... kind of at the edge of the mountains, perhaps like more like southeast out of Kandy, for example.
Okay.
Or like south out of Kandy. Or maybe even north. Just like, somewhere vaguely around the edge of the mountains where it's like, it's kind of hilly, but it's harder to tell. Because again, like the more north you go, like and again, it could also just be a flat area.
Yeah.
But in my mind, if it was a flat area, then the road is, less likely to be so twisty-turny that you just cannot tell anything from it. It's obviously still possible, especially if it's like a smaller rural road, which from your description, it kind of feels like it is.
Yep. All right, so let me go to the edge of the mountain area, southeast of Kandy.
Or I would maybe go like to hedge a little bit towards the possible more northern flat areas. I would go like maybe north out of Kandy to Dambula, which is like kind of at the edge of the mountains.
I can see that. All right,
and it kind of hedges like the possible area between like Anuradhapura, for example, could look like this, but it's a completely flat part. And to me, the twisty-turniness of the road makes me think it's probably not going to be a completely flat part.
Okay, let's see. I'm putting the guess. And very good. It's actually northwest of Kandy. We're 42 kilometers away. 4,888 points. Let me give you the image.
I mean, yeah, I think you pretty much identified all the important features of this place. Like, obviously you can mention things like how the utility poles look and whatnot, but in this case, like just the Google car alone gives away the country, and then you also have language, which once again gives away the country. And then in terms of landscape, you pretty much brought up everything else with its greenery and the palm trees, which, just eliminate the north. And with the twisty turny road, and that I also can't tell if this is hilly or not from this specific frame. So yeah, I think your description was very good there.
All right, let's do the final round. Now we are in some. What is this? Is it a lake or something? Can't tell. We are in a town. It seems coastal to a lake or something else. I believe this is Bahasa. Let me just double check that we do have. It says homestay, I think, and then it says Telok Melano Sematan on a sign. Another sign says police. It's written Polis, which I again think is Bahasa. And we have a little picture of a police woman, but like it's a cartoonish thing. I do think we have black license plate. Can't see how many white segments there are on that black license plate. Let me see. Oh, it says here Bazar Sematan. I'm wondering if it's the name of the town, because I think I see Sematan on another. Hang on. Was it the first sign I told you about? Yeah, Sematan. So I see Sematan 2 times. So on a shop it says Bazar in big, and in small it says Sematan, just like it would be the name of the town. But maybe it's not. I'm just speculating here. Kampung, it says on the storefront as well. What else? We have black and white pavement. Like the outside of the pavement is black and white, alternating. Driving on the left. We have a bunch of scooters, a bunch of cars, and I can't see what's behind it. It looks like a big river or a lake, because I can see that on the other side of that river thingy, there I see some trees or an island. So quite close. It's difficult to tell, and it seems to be a jetty. I can see a boat, a very, very small boat, like a low-lying boat, like 5 meter long. So clearly there's water. Oh, it says, I think this is a petrol thing. It's a petrol station for trucks and boats, maybe. And it says Pengedan Petronas.
What is our road angle at? Because
we're along.
The second you
go ahead. Sorry.
Like what did you say? Like with you mentioning the place name, because Sematan is in fact a place name in Sarawak.
Okay.
It's kind of at that point it's just a matter of identifying the exact road. So if you have we're
right along the river. It's a road that goes really completely straight along the river. I mean, it's bending with the river or the water. So Sarawak, I know where this is. Sarawak. So you think it's I see Sarawak the town.
Yeah, then like the Sarawak town, by the way, this is an interesting thing of the Google Maps, is that in Malaysia, when you see the big labels, like the Sarawak all caps label, that's just the state name. And if you want to find out the town name, you have to maximum zoom in on it, and then you will find that the town
Kuching.
You would think is called Sarawak is actually called Kuching.
Exactly.
Yes. And a lot of the times, this actually can confuse people who are not used to Malaysia pinpointing, when it's like you are trying to tell someone that's or there's a sign that says Ipoh 100 kilometers away, and then it's like they are scanning for it, and then it's like how is this not a thing? And then it's just hidden behind the Perak label. But yes, west of Kuching
I found
is Sematan, right along the coast. And then at that point it is a matter of just identify is this right next to the jetty that you said?
We're right next to the jetty.
Well, there's a point of interest in it in central Samarkand.
It says Sematan Jetty, yeah?
Yeah, so it should be. I would imagine probably the Samatan waterfront
I can
point
see
of
it.
interest.
I can see it. And there's Quang Phat Hang on the map. Let me see if I can find this. Yep, I think it says. Let's say here. Hang on. I see. No, it says Sang. Sang. Oh no, it doesn't say Hang. And we have this intersection. Let's see if it lines up. And then the road turns to the right. Yeah, it turns to the right. We have the big intersection. Yep. The jetty here, and then it turns to the left. Oh, it turns to the waterfront. Do we have a? It turns to the left. It does seem to correspond, you know. Yeah, I'm going to put it here because I think you're absolutely correct. It goes north, almost north the road, right? Like north, slightly northwest at exactly this, and it's indeed corresponds. You have this island opposite, which is actually not the island, which is the rest of the peninsula, the piece of land across the river.
Yeah.
All right, let's guess. Do we have a 5K?
Yes.
Do you think we have a 5K?
I have faith. I have
Okay.
faith.
10 meters. 10 meters, 5,000. That's a nice way to end this guess.
Yeah.
Series of guesses, very nice. All right, view. Let me share the image with you so you can actually see. Hang on. How did you know it was a town, Simatan? Have you seen it before? It's just so much practice, and you know.
I mean, I've definitely seen Samatan before, so I've recognized it as a town. I wasn't really sure where it was, so I was just since you've said that there's like some sort of a big body of water around, like either a big river or a lake or something, I was just scanning all the Malaysian possible towns with like either a big river through them or some sort of a lake through them.
Why Malaysia, not Indonesia?
And then a couple of different reasons. Firstly, because again, like I've heard of Samatan before, even though I didn't really know where it was, and I was like, okay, this is probably a Malaysian place name, because if it was Indonesia, it would be a Kabupaten name, as I have said before, that there's this, Indonesia, you need to learn like 400 plus so-called Kabupaten or regencies to be able to get a good 5K, and I would have probably remembered it more if it was Indonesian. And also, again, it's just a case of, I think I've seen this before. I think I've seen this before in Malaysia. It probably is a town in Malaysia kind of thing. It's just a case of if you scan the map enough, then it's like, even if you don't know that a place is a place, or like even if you don't know where a place is, you just remember, oh, this is a findable place somewhere. And the other thing is that although both countries use kampung as a way to say village, you see it written out a lot more in Malaysia than you do in Indonesia. Like in Indonesia, a lot of the times you would see desa as their unit of like village or smaller town or whatever. There are still places called kampung something, but a lot of the kampungs are more of a Malaysian thing.
Got it. Understood. Wow. Well, amazing, because we took 6 minutes, 40 seconds to 5K this one. We have a total of 19,250 points. We really got stuck with the first one, the Mexico/Brazil guess. But other than that, it was really, really good. So, yeah, thank you so much for playing with me. I think I've learned a lot also with you helping with providing better descriptions and noticing things on the image. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And very good. Yeah, thank you for the good descriptions as well.
That was fun. Again, thank you very much.